Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm gonna be showing you 3 things to do when things aren't manifesting or you're not attracting what you want. Now, with this video, it's always going to be kind of rooted in the idea that we don't necessarily attract that which we want, but we always attract who we are being. So then from that point, the focus then comes more on the idea of who do we define ourselves to be? What are our beliefs about who we are? And what is our focus on? Now, understanding that helps us more readily know how we can actually embody who we prefer to be, and that from that place, we're actually able to align to it so that we experience what we want in our life. Now, the first one I want to share with you is understanding the power of focus. So many times, especially for me, when I find that I'm not necessarily attracting that which I want in life, it comes from where my focus is. Now, I find that I have to almost delegate my focus in a certain way because I'm so focused right now on YouTube. It's like when I go back to my 9-to-5 type job, which is like a sales job, what I have to do is I have to still focus on that in order to have that grow, because most of my focus right now is on YouTube. That thankfully enough is where my action is going, where most of my attention is, and therefore that is growing. But when I take all of that away from being focused at work or being almost resistant at work, it's like, because that focus isn't there, it's almost like I have to play catch up, or it's just not happening because the energy isn't going there. Realize that our thoughts, that whatever we're focused on, is sending out the energy. And if we are not focused on it, or if we're focused on the opposite of what we want, we bring that into our life. So we become what we focus on. If we are focusing on how what we want isn't here yet, what we're gonna end up doing is feeling resistance within because we're not where we wanna be. And remember, with the law of attraction, you don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. If you are feeling resistant inside your body, you literally will not see a reflection in your life of what you prefer because the resistance is there to negate it. So realize that a powerful thing to do is to simply pay attention to where your focus is. Are you focused on television shows that aren't serving you? Are you focused on music that may not be serving you? Are you focused on getting and being around people that may be more negative? Understand that all of these variables go into where your focus is. And if you have a certain goal, visualize what that is that you want to do, feel it, become it, and take action. All of those 3 things are parts of the process of focus. Focus your energy on what you're doing, what you're thinking, and who you're being, and things begin to flow better. A lot of times, if I'm not creating the abundance I want at my work, I just simply realize that I have to start focusing more on it. I have to start getting and letting go of the resistance of it not being here. And as I do that, it's like everything begins to open up because my feeling isn't negating the experience. Now, the second one I wanted to share has to do, a little bit tied into that, understanding resistance and how resistance many times will stop us from attracting what we want. Now, realize that with this whole process, you don't get what you want, you get who you are. Now, when we condition ourselves to feel a certain way, it's like when we're in certain feelings, when we're feeling a certain way about ourselves and we're taking action, there's a certain level of perception of what we will perceive in our life. If there is a feeling there of that, in a way, resistance, we're not going to actually see that which we want because we're not in the same state that would be necessary for us to do this. So it could be that there's an opportunity in front of us right now, but because we're stressed out about it, we don't see it as an opportunity. We might actually see it as an obstacle. Now, once again, I work a sales commission job. So sometimes what I do is if a customer I'm helping isn't gonna buy, or I can see they don't have the intention of buying, the moment that I see that, I can't define that as necessarily a like roadblock. I must see it just as an experience. I must not define a label to it that blocks it from it being an opportunity, because the moment I define it as anything other than an opportunity is the moment that starts to actually become a barrier for me, and I feel the resistance. So by doing that, by not attaching that label, it's like I start to get myself to a state to where then more can come through. So pay attention to your resistance. The resistance often comes from an attachment to the outcome. Do not be attached to the outcome. As paradoxical as it sounds, when you don't care what the outcome is, you have an intention for it, but when you're not insisting of how it has to happen, you begin to actually embody more of the state that you must be in order to see that which you want to see. Now, the third thing to do would be to look at what you believe to be true. So many times we might focus on what we want, we might release the resistance, but if we find there's another obstacle there, a lot of times that comes from a belief that is negating the experience. What this means is that we have some unconscious belief that we're not aware of that's holding us back from actually experiencing what we want. Now, a lot of my videos touch on this idea of changing our subconscious mind, and as I've said many times, one of the easiest ways to get rid of those beliefs is to simply first off ask the question, what would I have to believe is true to have this kind of experience? When we begin to see it from that point of view and ask the question, our brain will begin to look for the answers. Then what we do is we can see and we begin to pinpoint a reference experience that happened years ago. Could have happened when we were young, could have happened more recently. When we see that reference experience of what that is, we can then simply decide that that is no longer who we prefer to be. And as we begin to recognize this, then we begin to let it go and out of our experience. But until that belief becomes conscious, it will remain unconscious or subconscious, and it will have power over us. The moment we become aware of it, we can then choose to let it go. So become aware of what your beliefs are. I have other videos that explain this in a more in-depth process, and even some that are on meditations in order to get through it. Understand that the more we do this, the more we begin to change ourselves from the inside out, the more we begin to become who we prefer to be, and that's when our life really begins to change. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to like this video if you liked it, share it if you found it of value, and as always, I will see you guys in the next vid. Peace, much love, namaste. All right, bye.